Another exciting project we have going on here is we're actually building a container swimming pool. The first time that we've ever done that. We store materials and things in here, but it's big enough that we didn't want to be outside working on it, so we put it in this. Actually acts as our wash bay as well. You can see Woody, who's been working on it, has tools set up there. Shipping container is a 40-foot shipping container. They're usually much higher than this. They're usually about high containers about 8.5 feet tall, but have a swimming pool that was 8 feet deep. This is more of like a giant sitting area. And the interesting thing about shipping containers is they get all their strength from the corrugated metal. It's here, this corrugated metal up and down, these right here. So it's not flat, it goes in and out. And there's an I-beam at the bottom. You can see this I-beam along the bottom. Well, the I-beam, believe it or not, is not strong enough to hold that kind of weight. It's not anywhere near tall enough. So it gets its strength by making the sides almost act like as a giant truss. And what happens is when you cut the top of it off is its strength, which means like it will sit there and bow. It doesn't have the strength anymore. So, and I'll actually show you what I mean by that. I'll show you the other half of the container. So this is the other half of the container. And it's crazy. Now this one doesn't have the 8-inch I-beam on the bottom, but it still has a 2-inch tall, steel piece. But both of these containers, when cut in half, look at this. If you look down, you can really see the hump because the container's bowed. And obviously there's no strength this way. So back to our project. I'd never built a container pool before, but I do know some things about structural pieces and knew that we had to support it because we wanted it to be a self-contained unit. So knew we had to be able to support it. And as most of you know, water inside a container has a lot of force. Calculated that this will store about 10,000 gallons of water. So there's gonna be a lot of outpush in that. So let me show you what we did to keep the walls and things straight, because we took away the structural components of the container. Actually, I stole this idea from things I saw online. We're actually gonna have the steps come up. And so we took and cut a section of the container out here to actually make a door to get in there. Gonna have a latch on it. This will be done a little bit nicer. We'll trim this up with some metal. And then there'll be a set of steps that will actually go up where this step ladder is right now. Another cool feature is that you'll be able to get access, because once the steps will be closed off, you'll actually be able to get access by the doors that are right here. So if you look, there's a latch here. Open the doors. Obviously those doors are much taller. We cut them off. But what this is going to allow us to do is we're actually going to store the pump and everything for the swimming pool below here. So like where this ladder is, there'll be a wall across here because the steps will be in there. So you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to be underneath this landing and the steps area. So if I go back out, there'll be a set of steps that's going to start. You can see they kind of started putting a piece of tubing there. This is actually going to be a landing that's going to be on top. And on top of that landing, we're actually going to put subfloor down. We're actually going to install a standing seam roof panel. Not really designed to be dead flat, but the ribs interlock and we'll put butyl tape in the seams. What that's going to do is it's going to make the underneath of there waterproof. And that way we can store things in there. Pool chemicals, the pump, like this whole thing will be self-contained. So if you have a crane or a big enough machine, you can move this piece. It's not like a above ground pool where you gotta like take it all apart. Like this is all made to be one solid piece. So if you look here, again, I'm standing up on the platform. This will have actually composite decking now. It's gonna be on top of that standing seam. It's gonna be wood looking. We're using a saddle color decking, some stuff that we've had left over. And then this are actually the set of steps that actually go down in, which is pretty cool. So we're actually sheeting this entire thing. So these steps will be sheeted. And then here's what I was talking about, the structural elements. So if you look here, There's 2-inch steel tubing going top to bottom. And you can see that we welded them fast, and we welded them fast to the bottom. What gives this its strength is the bench pieces that we put in here come out and act as a truss. So now we're coming partway up the wall, and then we have steel angle welded on the top. The steel angle itself doesn't give a ton of strength, it gives some, but the real strength comes from in here, where the bench is created. So that bench with all those joints welded makes this, cannot move it. Doesn't even wiggle at all. And it will be able to hold the 10,000 gallons of water. So this will be sheeted, and then I've actually talked with a local guy that does pools. We like to keep things local. He actually does custom liners. So once it's sheeted, he's gonna do a custom liner that's gonna fit down in here. I'm gonna have him do the pool pump and things of that nature, because it's not my area of expertise. Him being able to do that will, I think, make this pool really, really awesome. Along the top edge, we're actually gonna do a piece of decking to match the landing. So a piece of decking that's gonna sit on here. It'll hang in here a little bit and then hang out the other side to give a nice edge. And then on the outside, just gonna paint it. We're actually painting iron ore color to match the Airbnb that it's going to. And it's gonna keep that industrial look. We already have a concrete pad already made for this to sit on. We ran the electric in there already, and that electric is gonna go in there where that pump is gonna be stored. So looking forward to see how this is gonna turn out.